future, but it's definitely a viable option. You know, you can get, it's pretty big. You're going to end up, the smallest ITX case you can get that you can fit a PCI card in is probably, you know, yay big. But the advantage of having a PCI slot or a mini PCI slot is that you know for sure you can get a good wireless card. You can look at what Mad Wi-Fi supports or whatever and then just go buy that. And the other big advantage is that ITX cases commonly come with 12-volt power supplies. So I can just pull up in front of the place I'm interested in, leave the box plugged into the cigarette lighter in my car, and then as I'm walking away, I can start a crack from the phone, and no, I'm not the sketchy guy in the car with the laptop anymore. And that's pretty great. But I'm actually more excited about two other pieces of hardware. I'm going to be porting these scripts to the EEE PC while I'm here, because I actually brought one, and the one I have, I'm not sure if this is true of all of them, but the one I have has a really good Atheros chip, and that's about yay big, so it's actually getting slightly smaller. And but I'm really most excited about the new Atheros AR5315, and that's one of those system-on-chip boards. So actually, when I told my friend Eric about this project, he said, "Oh, that's nice, but come back to me when it's the size of a deck of playing cards." Dude, the Atheros board is the size of a deck of playing cards. And actually, if you want to see one, I saw one on display at the OpenWRT display downstairs. It's #1, but that's about yay big. And the downside of that is that it has an Ethernet port and only one wireless port. So I would probably have to change the script a little bit, but I could log into it on the wireless and maybe launch an attack and then have it shut down and restart and then start the attack. Or maybe you could plug it into your computer, set up the attack, wrap it with something sticky, and then just sort of walk by and stick it to a wall, you know. And that could work too. So I'm looking forward to playing with that a little bit in the future. So another feature of the script, which is kind of important, I think, for usability. Well, okay. So actually, what it's made of, it's getting Mad Wi-Fi and Aircrack NG to work well and drive them from. I'm driving them from Python. But oh boy, Aircrack NG was not written to be Linux command line friendly. Some of the tools give you output in like curses, or you can't use expect on them easily. Sometimes Aircrack says key found and it's all zeros. And it's really kind of confounding. But I've actually sort of, now there's definitely some bugs in these scripts, and like all my scripts. But I've definitely worked out a way that works to automate these. I think that if you use the code, or if you look through the code, you might see some things, especially in one of the bash scripts, where you may wonder what's going on there. But once I got into a configuration that worked, I just sort of left it. So I've been trying to clean it up a bit and port it to different platforms. So if you keep an eye on the site in the next week or so, there'll be some developments there. And the other thing is that I'm driving screen sessions from Python using the subprocess module. So I fire up each of the Aircrack tools. I fire up the dump in a screen session, and I fire up a faked authentication and an ARP replay attack in a screen session, and then I fire up the crack in a screen session. So you can log back in through the web interface and check on the status of each of those screens. It'll actually take a copy of the current state of the screen and show it through the web interface. And if you were interested in driving some other sort of shell scripts with a really simple TurboGears-based Python web interface, this would be a really good sample code to look at. Basically, I kept thinking that the Aircrack project, I thought for a while that the Aerolib thing that they promised was going to come out was like going to do this somehow. And then when it finally did come out, it did something slightly different. So I got impatient waiting for someone to write a good one, and then I just wrote a really, really nasty hack that works. So just in general, my ITX box is a really kind of crappy Cyrix C3 processor, and using PTW, if you're close enough for ARP replay, it cracks a WebKey in 2.5 minutes. So yeah, you don't really need much of a processor, I guess is the point. And if you look at the sample code, it's not skinned at all, but it's a TurboGears web interface, so it would be really easy to add whatever graphics you want. And something else I'd like to add to this in the future is man-in-the-middle attack automation and a rogue AP mode. And that's actually something that it would be really useful to have two Wi-Fi cards for, right? Because you'd want one to connect to the real internet and then one to get people to associate with. And I'm all done. Actually, is that early? Oh. So I do have one other toy I could show off. I don't normally talk this fast, so I'm blaming the mate. But I do. Where'd that go? I have been playing with a bit of a pattern matching hex editor that uses the sequitur algorithm to detect common substrings in binary files. However, after playing with this for a while, I've decided that sequitur actually really isn't very good for this, so I decided not to talk about it. But that said, does anyone have any questions, or?
Hi, Peter here from Coreboot. Thanks for bringing up the BIOS rootkit topic. I think it's really a big deal. We've been sort of trying to push this to governments and large companies for quite a while, and I think they're finally starting to realize the risks. Also, I can tell you that the urban legend is very much a reality. There is a BIOS vendor that had a similar rootkit, and they got, I think, 5 million users before they shut it down.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was some 5 years ago.
So by the way,
it's very much real.
Everybody, that's Peter from Coreboot, so he's the answer man for all of your system management mode related questions.
Yeah, and also, well, system management mode. I've been poking around the AMD code quite a lot, but I want to say I can't take credit for the other implementation that we have in Coreboot. That was all written by Stefan Reinauer for the Intel platform. But it's really nice. The AMD code was written for Microsoft tools that are normally used to develop BIOS software, but they also have started work on getting that code to build with GNU tools.
Cool.
And it's all open source, so come have a look at it.
Thank you.